I'm excited and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be considered as your next city manager. My name is Norm West. I bring nearly 30 years of calm, thoughtful, predictable executive leadership as a United States Air Force Brigadier General, where I led global teams, I managed billion-dollar budgets, I made life or death decisions in crisis, from leading the entire country of Afghanistan's 49 networked and interdependent hospitals, trauma centers, and intertheater and intratheater medical evacuation systems to directing nuclear disaster response in Japan. I've learned that fiscal discipline, crisis leadership, and long-term vision are inseparable. I also understand that in Palm Coast, success depends on navigating sometimes complex and subtle political dynamics, aligning with council priorities, and earning the trust of all of our residents. My commitment is to apply that accountability and foresight to ensure smart, sustainable growth while protecting the quality of life for every resident. Although this will be a little unnatural and slightly sterile, the most efficient way to answer your questions will be for me to read the question followed by my answer. I recognize that this format will not be the warmer conversational approach we all prefer, but it will allow me to tie your question and underlying anchor thought to my answers in a very crisp way that's easy to follow. With that said, the first question is, how would you implement an effective economic development program that comports with the comprehensive plan and 2050 vision that our City Council recently approved? Well, implementing an effective economic development program in Palm Coast begins with one guiding principle. Every step must align with our comprehensive plan and the 2050 vision set out by you, the City Council. Our focus is not just on growth, but on smart, sustainable growth that strengthens our economy while preserving the quality of our life, of the residents, and the values of our residents. We'll start by targeting the sectors where Palm Coast has a clear competitive edge: healthcare, advanced manufacturing, logistics, clean energy, and tourism. These industries bring high-value jobs, diversify our tax base, and reduce our dependence on residential growth alone. At the same time, we'll prepare our land and infrastructure for investment. That means shovel-ready sites, reliable utilities and broadband, and a permitting process that makes Palm Coast a place where businesses can move quickly and with supreme confidence. Workforce development is another critical pillar. By partnering with schools, colleges, and training programs, we'll ensure our residents have the skills to succeed in these industries, keeping talent local while attracting new families seeking both opportunity and a quality of life that they currently don't have. We'll also leverage smart incentives and partnerships, grants, low interest loans, and regional collaboration to attract investment without placing a burden on taxpayers. Finally, we'll measure results and be transparent about them. Jobs created, private investment secured, infrastructure expanded, and community benefits delivered. In short, Palm Coast's economic development program will be strategic, it will be targeted, and it will be aligned with Imagine 2050. It will grow our economy responsibly, create opportunity, and keep Palm Coast the unique and vibrant community our residents are proud to call home. The second question is, what are your leadership management philosophies and how would you apply them to lead our organization? Spending 30 years in the military has created quite a bit of scar tissue. So my leadership philosophy is simple, and it's also grounded in 5 key principles. First, perspective matters. In city management, challenges will always arise, but we can't afford to get bogged down in small distractions. I focus on the big picture and long-term outcomes, making sure we direct energy toward what truly impacts our community's future. Second, trust is foundation of effective organizations. With the right people in the right positions, trust becomes both a force and a speed multiplier. Delegation only works when trust exists, and losing it can derail progress faster than anything else. In Palm Coast, I would work to build and protect that trust at every level, between leadership, staff, and our residents. Third, I believe strongly in delegation with responsibility and authority. The best way to grow talent is to give people meaningful work and ownership of outcomes. In Palm Coast, that means empowering department heads and staff to take on real responsibility, knowing that they are trusted to deliver results for our citizens. Fourth, leadership is about creating a climate where people can do their best work. That means eliminating waste, improving processes, and ensuring resources align with priorities. It's not about asking our teams to do more with less. It's about ensuring that they can do the right things well. Finally, leadership is about building more leaders. The mark of a strong city management team is not just solving today's problems, but preparing future leaders to carry out Palm Coast in the out years, forward years. That requires giving people opportunities, accepting that some will fail, and using those moments as growth opportunities through feedback and retraining. Applied to Palm Coast, these philosophies create a leadership culture that is focused, trusting, empowering, efficient, and forward-looking. That is the kind of management environment that will allow Palm Coast to thrive and meet the ambitious goals set out in the city's comprehensive plan and 2050 vision. The third question is, Palm Coast is experiencing rapid growth and places significant pressures on utilities, stormwater, and transportation systems. At the same time, residents expect fiscal responsibility and efficient government. As city manager, how would you prioritize infrastructure investments, balance the budget, and communicate these trade-offs to both the council and the public? For the past 20 years, I've watched Palm Coast's growth, and it's been amazing. However, that growth brings real pressure on our roads, stormwater, and utilities. My job as city manager is to make sure we invest wisely, keep residents safe, and remain fiscally responsible. We have to prioritize in 3 tiers. First, protect health and safety. That means reliable water, stormwater systems that prevent flooding, and roads that handle emergency and school traffic. Second, support planned growth, targeted road improvements, broadband expansion, and greenways that connect new neighborhoods. Third, enhance quality of life with parks and community amenities. On the budget side, growth will pay for growth. We need to modernize impact fees and development agreements so new projects find their fair share of infrastructure. At the same time, we'll aggressively pursue state and federal grants and use long-term debt only for long life assets like treatment plants. And of course, communication matters. Each year, we must publish an infrastructure scorecard that shows which projects are prioritized, how much they cost, and what the impact is on each household. We'll host town halls and keep an online dashboard so everyone sees where their dollars go. It's terribly important. In short, safety first, fiscal discipline always, and total transparency. This way, Palm Coast can stay ahead of growth pressures, protect quality of life, and keep government efficient and accountable. The fourth question is tell us about a time when you faced a complex and high-stakes decision as a city manager or senior leader. How did you evaluate the options, engage stakeholders, and ultimately decide on a course of action? Looking back, what would you repeat? And what would you do differently? One of the most complex, high-stakes decisions I faced in my career was when I was leading the rollout of the Department of Defense's $5 billion electronic health record system. The scope was absolutely massive. 9.5 million beneficiaries, more than 700 medical facilities worldwide were tethered to each other, and over 250,000 medical professionals depending on us to get all of this right. The decision point was how to implement a global system that connected battlefield trauma to stateside hospitals while ensuring the safety and continuity of care for service members and their families. I began by evaluating the risks and options through a structured lens: clinical safety, cost, operational readiness, and long-term sustainability. I engaged a wide range of stakeholders to include frontline physicians, nurses, IT engineers, senior military leaders, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and industry partners. Over-communication was key. We held daily updates, tested pilot sites, and deliberately sought out dissenting and disrupting voices to stress test our approach. Ultimately, I decided to take a phased rollout strategy. It allowed us to adapt in real time, fix issues early, and build user confidence as the system scaled. The results were significant. We successfully deployed the electronic health record across thousands of locations, ensuring globally integrated and coordinated medical operations that connect combat medicine all the way to definitive care in the United States. Looking back, what I would absolutely repeat is the stakeholder engagement, especially listening to clinicians and nurses and IT professionals on the ground who had to use the system daily. What I would do differently is build in even more time up front for training and change management. Because even the best technology is only as effective as the people who adopt it. The experience reinforced for me that complex decisions require both technical rigor and human empathy. Because at the end of the day, the stakes are about people, not just about systems. The fifth question is, when deciding on the millage tax rate for the coming fiscal year budget, what is the impact of inflation if the rollback rate is chosen? Well, if we adopt the rollback rate, we will technically hold taxes flat. But in reality, inflation means that the city will be operating with fewer dollars than last year. Well, that translates to less road work, slower stormwater fixes, delayed infrastructure projects. To maintain today's level of service, we need revenue growth at least equal to inflation. Why consider the rollback rate? Well, because it delivers direct tax relief to residents at a time when families are facing higher insurance premiums, grocery bills are becoming out of control, and fuel costs are higher. It demonstrates fiscal restraint and respect for taxpayers, while still capturing revenue from new development to help cover growth-related needs. The bottom line is this: adopting the rollback rate provides immediate relief to residents, but it also means the city will have to prioritize carefully and accept that some services or projects may move more slowly in order to balance the budget under inflationary pressures. This is the balance we must weigh, protecting the pocketbooks of our residents while ensuring we don't fall behind on infrastructure that keeps Palm Coast safe and livable. 6, when addressing a problem with one of your staff's employees, do you always check with that particular employee's manager or supervisor before contacting the concerned employee? Well, that's a great question because it speaks to respecting the chain of command and protecting trust in an organization. In almost every case, when there's a concern with an employee, I go to the manager first. That ensures that the supervisor is aware, it reinforces their authority, and prevents the kind of miscommunication or workarounds that can weaken team cohesion at the leadership level. We've all seen situations in local government where breakdowns in communication and unclear roles created tension between staff and leadership. These experiences reinforce for me that even the perception of bypassing a manager can undermine trust both up and down the chain. That said, there are exceptions, of course. If the issue is urgent, such as a legal issue, ethical, or safety matter, I may need to speak with the employee directly while making sure that the supervisor is informed as quickly as possible. Likewise, I'll sometimes engage directly to recognize exceptional work or clarify information, but I'm intentional about letting their managers know. The bottom line is this: over-communicating, clarifying intent, and respecting roles ensures that employees feel supported, managers feel trusted, and the organization avoids the kind of unnecessary friction that distracts from its true business. The seventh question is, in formulating our budget, how do you intend on maintaining or improving our current levels of service without increasing costs and raising taxes and fees? Well, that is the central challenge of local government today. How do we keep service levels strong without placing more burden on taxpayers? My strategy has three parts. First, we make sure that every dollar counts. That means investing in efficiency, using technology like smart water meters, automated permitting, and predictive maintenance for our utilities and fleets. These tools reduce labor hours and prevent costly breakdowns. We'll also review operations department by department to identify process improvements and cut waste and duplication. Second, we let growth pay for growth. Palm Coast is expanding rapidly, and we'll update our impact fees, concurrency requirements, and development agreements so that new construction covers the infrastructure it requires. That way, existing residents are not subsidizing growth. Third, we maximize outside dollars. We will aggressively pursue state and federal grants for stormwater, road improvements, broadband, and public safety. The bipartisan infrastructure law and FEMA resilience programs can bring millions of outside dollars here if we are organized and if we are proactive. By combining operational efficiency, fair growth funding, and external grants, we can maintain and even improve services without raising the mill rates or fees. And to ensure accountability, I'll publish an annual service and savings report showing residents exactly how these strategies translated into real cost avoidance and service improvements. So the message is simple. We'll keep Palm Coast safe, we'll keep Palm Coast clean, and we'll keep Palm Coast moving forward, not by asking taxpayers for more, but by working smarter, making growth pay for its fair share, and bringing in outside resources. The eighth question is, what do you feel is the most unique challenge currently facing Palm Coast, and how do you plan on attacking it both in the short term and in the long term? Palm Coast's unique challenge right now is managing rapid growth in a way that protects our quality of life. We are one of the fastest growing cities in Florida, and that puts real pressure on our roads, stormwater, utilities, and public safety services. At the same time, residents expect fiscal responsibility and efficiency from their local government. In the short term, my plan would focus on targeted investments that protect health and safety first, reliable utilities, stormwater projects to prevent flooding, and critical road improvements where congestion is already a problem. I will also prioritize communication, launching a transparent infrastructure dashboard so residents can track projects, costs, and timelines. In the long term, we need to ensure that growth pays for growth. That means modernizing our impact fees, structuring development agreements responsibly, and aligning our capital plans with the 2050 vision and comprehensive plan. It also means diversifying our economy so we don't rely solely on residential growth, but attract businesses that create jobs, expand the tax base, and strengthen resilience. In short, the challenge is growth. The solution is balance, investing in essential infrastructure today while setting policies that make growth sustainable and fiscally fair tomorrow. That way, Palm Coast can remain not just bigger, but better. The ninth question you had asked is, leaders are faced with ethical dilemmas every day. Can you please describe a workplace ethical dilemma that you have experienced? Describing the situation, the task, actions, and the results. One of the most complex ethical dilemmas I faced was during Operation Tomodachi in the aftermath of the deadly 9.0 magnitude earthquake, a massive tsunami, and nuclear catastrophe in Japan. The environment was extraordinarily complex. Local, national, and international politics were at play. Resources were limited, and community engagement was critical to maintaining trust. We operated in a deadly and uncertain environment where every choice carried long-term implications for both U.S.-Japan relations and the safety of my people. The dilemma I faced was balancing two competing obligations: ensuring the safety of my military and medical personnel against an invisible nuclear threat, while still delivering life-saving humanitarian aid and nuclear response to the Japanese people. My task was to sustain nuclear emergency operations and provide relief. Overseeing 23,000 hours of detection and decontamination missions, and coordinating the airlift of 2.3 million tons of supplies to 320,000 survivors. This required over-communication with my teams and allies, transparency about the risks, and coordination with the Department of Energy, State Department, and Japanese officials to ensure every action was both safe but also highly effective. I acted by instituting strict radiation exposure protocols, rotating personnel to minimize risk, and engaging directly with my teams and local leaders to ensure trust. At the same time, I worked with U.S. and Japanese authorities to map leaking reactors, develop long-term radiation response procedures, and strengthen nuclear safety strategies for the region. The result was safe and successful mission. We delivered critical aid, safely evacuated over 7,000 U.S. personnel and their family members, and preserved long-term U.S.-Japan trust. The experience reinforced for me that ethical leadership is about making decisions that protect people while still achieving the desired outcomes, even when operating in a resource-constrained environment, politically sensitive, and life-threatening environments. The final question is, what metrics do you consider the most important when conducting performance evaluations? When we evaluate performance, whether it's for a department head, the city manager, or the organization as a whole, the key is to focus on metrics that truly matter to our residents and to the strategic goals of the city. First, we look at the goal alignment and strategic outcomes. Are we advancing priorities established by the council and the comprehensive plan? For Palm Coast, that means delivering infrastructure that keeps pace with growth, supporting quality of life, and implementing the 2050 vision. Success isn't measured by activity alone, it's measured by results that move the city forward. Second, we examine service delivery and efficiency. Are roads being maintained on schedule? Are permits processed promptly? Are stormwater and utilities functioning reliably? These operational metrics reflect day-to-day impact on residents, and they tell us whether resources are being used effectively. Third, we measure fiscal responsibility, budget adherence, cost savings, and the ability to secure outside funding like state and local federal grants are crucial. Residents and council need assurance that every dollar is spent wisely and that the city can maintain services without unnecessary tax increases. Fourth, innovation and process improvement. Are we adopting technologies, streamlining operations, and reducing inefficiencies? A growing city like Palm Coast can't just do the same things faster. We need to work smarter and continuously improve. Fifth, leadership and workforce development. High-performing teams are essential. Metrics here include staff retention, training initiatives, and succession planning. Strong leadership ensures that the city can deliver consistent services now and into the future. Finally, we consider community satisfaction and trust. Resident surveys, complaint resolution, public engagement reflect whether people feel heard, served, and confident in their local government. After all, the ultimate measure of success is the public's trust and satisfaction. In short, performance evaluation isn't just about checking boxes. It's about linking actions to outcomes, ensuring fiscal responsibility, improving services, developing people, and maintaining public trust. When we focus on these metrics, we create a government that's efficient, accountable, and responsive. Exactly what Palm Coast residents expect and deserve. To finish, I bring nearly 30 years of executive leadership experience where I managed billion-dollar budgets, led global teams, and made critical decisions under pressure. As you're all very well aware, I'm different in a good way. I'm uniquely qualified to be your city manager as I have high emotional intelligence, highly cultivated soft skills. I'm self-aware and always searching for my blind spots. I'm politically savvy and calm in chaos. Most of all, I'm biased for action. Palm Coast's challenge is balancing rapid growth with fiscal responsibility, and my commitment is to ensure growth pays for itself. Services remain strong, and every action aligns with the Council's 2050 vision. My promise is simple. I will lead Palm Coast with discipline, transparency, and trust. So our city grows, it grows stronger, smarter, and better for everyone. I'll stop here. I can't overstate my thanks for giving me this opportunity to serve. Thank you for this video interview. I'm looking forward to moving forward with the next part of this interview process. Thank you.